Welcome to Vader TV, the site on innovation and innovators. If you're an online publisher, how do you drive circulation? Media River has a solution. Joining me to talk about Media River is Al Wasserberger. He's the CEO. Al, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Bambi.
Motley Fool uses your service, one of your largest customers.
Right.
And they're using your service to drive traffic to their site by tapping into the blogosphere.
That's right.
How are you helping them tap into the blogosphere?
So Motley Fool is generating content that's valuable to people in their blogs and in their home pages, things like stock information or videos about stocks and what's going on with stocks, actually videos that users can generate to their site. When a user grabs that to put it on their blog or to put it on their personal page, the widget that they take has both the video or the stock information and also links to other information dynamically populated into the widget based on what's going on the page. So if a blogger is blogging about Rupert Murdoch and his acquisition of Dow Jones, then even if the stock widget is just about News Corp or just about Dow Jones, the widget will understand the context of the page, the context of the blog post, and bring the commentary that's related to the user, generating clicks back to the Motley Fool.
How many blogs are those widgets being embedded into?
I don't know the numbers for the Motley Fool widgets off the top of my head, Bambi.
But how successful is a widget?
It's starting to spread, right? So there are a lot of bloggers, both on the Motley Fool's blogs and out on Typepad, on Blogspot, et cetera, that are blogging about stock issues, that are blogging about financial issues, that having access to that advanced data and to editorial data gives them the credibility, gives them additional information that they can share. While I don't know exactly what the spread rates are off the top of my head, I know that they're starting to really take off.
And you're trying to drive traffic by getting people to essentially click into those little widgets. So what's the click-through rate for these widgets?
So we're seeing between 4 and 6% click-through rates, which we're really impressed with. When we started the business and launched the product, we were anticipating maybe a 1 or 1.5% click-through rate. But we see the same pattern happening with contextual information that we saw in a trend with contextual advertising. Mm-hmm. When users see things that are helpful, they tend to click on them. And in the long tail, they're used to following a trail of links, and so having those links automatically populated from credible sources makes a big difference.
Now, I spoke with Sphere's Tony Conrad, and he was saying the click-through rate for Sphere, and they do something similar because they provide related links to a particular article.
Right.
I think the click-through rate for them is about 1%. So why is yours so much higher?
So I don't have a lot to say about Sphere's click-through rate. I think that their model is really about how do I provide access to the blogosphere onto a media site. So if I'm reading an article on a media site, somebody's interested in what's going on in the blogosphere, then they can click on the Sphere widget. And I think there are users that are interested in that, and I think that's a good user experience. But the fact that a user's already on a media site is probably going to drive more value in high value edited content. Okay. So I also can say that we do a really good job of contextual analysis. The team that built this at Northwestern University took a really unique approach to understanding the context of pages. We take a visual semantics approach. We look at the page and understand it the same way that a human does. So when you look at a news article, you recognize it without knowing that you're on a news site. You see a headline and a subhead and a date line, and the article's written in a certain way. When you look at a blog post, you know that it's a blog post, right? It's a series of headline text, and you know how to understand that. And even if you didn't speak a word of the language that the page was written in, you could figure out what the important words are, what the important phrases are, what order they belong in. And so by using that unique approach, we're able to get really good hits and really good relevance and bring all kinds of different media types, right, as opposed to just bringing the blogosphere.
So how much content pages have you collected up? Because I'm assuming you're making money off of the content pages that you're linking, you're driving traffic to.
Right.
So do you have an aggregate number of how many pages you have collected?
You know, that's a really good question, because unlike Sphere and some of the other folks that are trying to drive site recirculation, we don't have an index. We're not tied to an index approach. We use an approach called meta search, where we tie to the site search of our customer. So the Motley Fool widget issues queries to Motley Fool and gets back relevant content based on the queries that it generates for Motley Fool. The Club Planet widget sends queries off to Club Planet and brings information back. And so while we don't have to aggregate all those pages and index those pages, because they're already doing that from a site search perspective, it gives us a lot of power and flexibility.
So what's your business model and what's in it for a publisher?
Oh, it's really simple. For a publisher, it's incremental page views, which means incremental dollars, right? So our ideal customer is somebody who monetizes their pages in a CPM or CPA basis, and they can calculate the effective CPM of what an incremental page view is. We take a percentage, typically a third of the incremental revenue that we're generating for the customer.
But you don't sell the ads.
No, we don't sell the ads. We wouldn't try to put ads on Motley Fool's website, right? That's about their brand and their advertisers. But more and more media companies are finding that they're able to oversell the hot categories, the hot news, et cetera, but not necessarily drive the inventory. So by giving them the ability to take new inventory and automatically populate with their own ads, we're helping them print money.
Now, you and I spoke earlier, and you said that you compete a bit with aggregate knowledge.
Right.
At least you provide some similar services. How do you compete?
Well, so one of the uses for our technology is providing links on your own site. It doesn't have to be in the blogosphere or in personal pages. We can do it on a publisher site, or we can power a content syndication relationship where publishers exchange links based on the context of what's happening. That's a model that's called discovery, which both aggregate knowledge and we are talking about, and we think that's really the next generation of the way that users will consume content, is by having the publisher show them what's next consistently. Sure. Aggregate knowledge does a really good job of that by taking a totally different approach. It's not about context for them, it's about the wisdom of the masses. If given a large number of users seeing a limited number of pages, they can take data and say, of 1,000 people that were here before, 400 of them did this, and they're like you, so I'm going to recommend that you do the same thing. Right? That works really well, by the way, in e-commerce scenarios. That's why they're so successful with companies like Overstock.com. It's a little bit more of a challenge when you get to media, because the patterns in media tend to be dictated by the editorial and publishing staff. Exactly. What links am I going to put on the page and where am I going to put them has a big impact on how my users behave and how they navigate the site. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then when you go out into the long tail, where you've got large number of pages like blog entries with relatively small number, comparative number of users, collaborative filtering has a lot more challenges. So our customers tend to go with us when they want to drive traffic from the long tail, or they want to power content syndication that's in their partners, or when they've got news or other media where context is going to make a big difference rather than the wisdom of the masses.
So you've been around 4 years. Last question. You changed the name from Intellex to Media River.
Right.
Are you making money now?
Yeah, we're generating revenue now. We launched the ClickSurge product, which is the media product we talked about, on May 23rd. We announced 5 customers. The first couple of them are live, and the next few are going live in the next week or so. And the customers are generating page views, and we're getting paid.
Okay, but you're making money and you're profitable because you made a switch in terms of, I guess, brand and direction.
We're not profitable yet. Okay. We're still growing the business and still investing in the growth, right? But we're not taking the approach that you see in a lot of B2Cs of, okay, we're going to go build land mass and then we'll figure out how to monetize later. Because we're generating revenue for our customers, I think it's fair for us to take a piece of it.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
I've been speaking with Al Wasserberger. He's the CEO of Media River. I'm Bambi Francisco.